This is a special 5 and 6 NPA meeting. That's fun. There's a lot of people who don't know each other here, which is great to meet more neighbors. I'm Primrose. I'm on the steering committee for Ward 5 NPA. Do the other Ward 5 NPA steering committee members want to introduce themselves?
Sure, I'm going to say I'm Jack.
Lena.
Jason.
Where's Fareed?
Fareed
Fareed is also on the steering committee, and he made us this beautiful dinner.
Yeah. Every time we have one of these. And so is Kathy, and she's not here. Ward 6, I don't know. Do Ward 6 steering committee members want to introduce themselves?
Nancy Harkins, Dale Azaria. I think that's it, right?
Cool.
Glad you're here.
Thank you for sharing this meeting with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the suggestion.
Yeah, so as a reminder, the NPAs are sort of like a government, non-government thing where we get together and talk with neighbors and engage in good faith and be kind to each other. And yeah, basically just here to be more in the know about what's going on and be engaged in our community. And yeah, towards that end, doing more meta NPA stuff, this NPA meeting is our Ward 5 steering committee election. And most, if not all of us, are leaving the steering committee for various reasons. And so we are looking for more people to step in to fill these roles to make sure that these meetings can keep happening, because this is a great opportunity. So yeah, I don't know, maybe the other steering committee members and myself, we can each say a few things about what our experience has been like on the steering committee and why it's a great idea to join. Yeah, do one of you want to start?
Should we do public forum first, or should we go?
Oh, public forum, yeah.
It kind of feels like it might be. I feel like it kind of makes sense to do this just first and get it out, and then like open up kind of the rest of the meeting, just kind of do the business first. But
When you're on the steering committee, you get to figure things out in live time in front of a room with strangers. It's a fantastic experience. It really builds character.
But they're always friendly strangers, so there you go.
Yeah.
You assume too much.
So
Fair
far.
enough.
Why is everybody leaving in mass? Why everyone?
It's not you, it's us.
It's really just timing. We all came to the same conclusion completely independently that there are other things really pulling on our time and attention, and everybody can speak for themselves as to that. But it is certainly not planned that way, and we were all slightly surprised that that was where we all landed. Lena and I have been on for 3 years, Jack for 2, Prim for 1. So
He's been on the steering committee for last year, and Fareed's been on for 3 years as well.
Yep. So I guess I can start. I joined the NPA because I wanted to have a reason to get me down here to meet with neighbors and talk about interesting stuff. And I'd been attending the NPA meetings intermittently, just as a resident of Ward 5. And, I was interested in both the consistency of, okay, I'm on the steering committee, I got to show up. And I've found that it's really, it builds in ways that it doesn't if you're just here intermittently. And it's totally great to show up intermittently, but it's really sort of next level if you join the steering committee, because you see issue after issue, you get a sense of the full range of things that the NPAs engage with. And I really enjoyed it. So that's on the topic side of things, that's been really cool, just, engaging in a lot of issues. But just as interesting and useful for me was something I didn't really anticipate, which was we have fewer opportunities, I think, in modern life to be in a position where you need to figure out how to work constructively with a set of people who are perfectly fine people, but who weren't people you chose. It's just who you happen to, be working with. And that's, A, an incredibly important skill, and B, really satisfying to figure out, oh, okay, here's how we divvy up responsibilities. Here's how we can make the planning go smoothly. Here's and just getting to know each other, getting to know people who, I might not have had as much intersection with had I not been on the NPA is really great. And then the last thing I'll say is, the first thing was focused on issues. The second is on the steering committee, and the third is all of you. People who show up regularly, people who show up intermittently. It's just a lovely cross section of the community, and it's been really enriching for me. And in terms of time commitment, these meetings are a couple hours, and we spend maybe an hour planning for each meeting, and then we divvy up tasks that probably take max an hour each, sort of separate from meeting as the NPA or meeting as the steering committee. So, 4 hours total per month. So it's really manageable. I am stepping down because I've been doing over the last year a lot of work with indivisible groups around the state, and have found that to be really compelling, and I think that the place where I want to be putting as much time as I can, because the Indivisibles are doing really amazing work to bring a wide range of people together in defense of democracy. And I've figured out a niche for myself in supporting a number of groups with kind of strategy and relationship building, and I want to shift my full attention there outside of work and other stuff. So that's why I'm stepping down, and I'll probably still be intermittently here at these meetings, but want to put my brain on that other challenge.
I feel really warm about the NPA. It's kind of a nerdy space, right? Like we get together and talk about what's going on with the road and argue about the trees. And it's really special to get together with people who, like, maybe we don't share a lot, but we all live in the same neighborhood. And I was sought out by Andy Simon, who I think is on Zoom, because I showed up to an NPA right after I moved to Burlington. And he was like, "Who are you? And why did you come to this particular NPA meeting, which was on a very cold night and there was almost nobody here?" And I had no idea what I was walking into. And then I ended up asking a bunch of questions. And Andy encouraged me to join the steering committee. And I have learned so much of what I now know about Burlington by holding this role. And it's helped me understand like who's in charge of what and how all the pieces of the city fit together, and get to know some of our elected representatives. I ran for city council in part because of what I learned on the NPA, and I really loved talking to my neighbors as part of that process. And actually knocking on all the doors in Ward 5 meant that suddenly we had a lot of people coming to the NPA, which was really, really amazing. So if somebody's got time, you should knock on all the doors in Ward 5, and the NPA is going to be full. And Ward 6. I think this is a really special way to get together and learn and be challenged and feel like we have ownership and stake in the place where we live, especially in this time of getting so much power wielded over us, whether it's by the government or our employers or corporations. Like, I don't want to feel just tossed around in the waves of somebody else's horrible ideas. And getting to be with you all every month for the last 3 years and talk about what's happening that's real in our lives and try to change the things that we can change has been extremely moving. And I think that this is a really good opportunity to be a part of your community. And I'm going to step off the steering committee. I've got a couple other projects that really need more of my time and attention. And I'm really happy to support whoever joins the steering committee. I know that we're going to have a lot of turnover, but this crew of us has done, I think, a really beautiful job of making our documents really organized and making it pretty easy to like get through the administrative work that make these meetings happen. We've got some really nice systems set up, and I'm really excited to hand them off and help other people use them with ease. So I think this is a treat. It's not for everyone, but it could be for you. I hope it's for some of you in this room. And I have a lot of gratitude for the NPA and my time on it the last few years.
And I forgot to mention, I'm also looking forward to kind of helping with the transition. Whoever steps up, I will also meet with the steering committee and just make sure it goes smoothly, provide support, et cetera. Glad you mentioned that. It was in the back of my head, but I'd forgotten. This is not a drop and run. This is a smooth handover.
I'll be brief just because I feel like there's a lot of overlap with what you two both said. The way that I feel about it is that in a way I feel like graduation. I think what's so beautiful about the NPA is that it is probably like one of the lowest stakes way to just kind of like raise your hand and get involved. I think I said this last year when I got Prim to join, because I was just like, my first meeting was 3 years, my first NPA at all was 3 years ago, on the day where we had our steering committee election. And then I spent the whole first year like wishing I had just like raised my hand and joined. But over the past couple of years, I think that it's as a place for someone who's like, I want to do something and I'm not really sure what. I think that this is probably like the best thing that you can jump into for all of the reasons that Jason and Lena already mentioned. I also feel like I have since, gotten involved with and started a lot of other kind of community organizing projects. And it's just one of those things where with only so much limited time, as you find like not a better, but a more specific way that you can contribute, it feels, especially given the needs in the world right now, to do that thing. And that's not to say that the NPA is not important.
It's general purpose.
It's general purpose. And I think that's both its like strength too, right? In that if you don't know that you have this one thing that you want to do, but you want to do something, this is like a sampling platter of all of it to meet a lot of different people across a lot of different parts of the city, and spend a year or 2 or 3 or 5, which is our term limit, to just kind of dive in and roll up your sleeves. And it's not a huge commitment, and there's city support, and there's a network of people around it. And maybe if you're doing that, you'll find which parts of it you do like and which parts you don't like, and you'll find a more specific hole that you fit in, and then you will move on to that, like I think many of us are. So yeah, I have really enjoyed my time on the NPA. And I have a really bad habit of overcommitting myself, and this is sort of kind of a moment for me to say, I really only have so many hours in the day. And I think someone who is ready to step up will probably be able to give more attention to this than I will be able to in the coming year.
Yeah, Jack did get me last year successfully. It was awesome.
When you arrived at the meeting, you weren't planning on.
That was also
No.
your first meeting too, right?
Yeah, that was my first meeting. My first meeting was last year.
Yeah.
Did like this April meeting last year. And Jack said that, and I had like recently moved to the neighborhood, and I was like, that sounds pretty sweet. I don't know, might as well. The like combination of it being like a relatively low stakes investment, I guess, of your time and energy, and a way to like connect into the neighborhood, felt really compelling to me, and it has proven to be a really nice opportunity for feeling more embedded in this neighborhood and knowing what's happening. And there's like the people also that come to these things, and like these people and of the other people who come to these meetings. It's so fun to be with people who are just like really all about local politics, because like I'm not necessarily like that, but being around those people is a great way to like take some of that up via osmosis, and it's, I don't know, it's just been like a really pleasant experience, and I would keep doing it, but I'm moving out of the neighborhood, so I can't keep being on the Ward 5 steering committee without being in Ward 5, unfortunately. Yeah, I don't think I really have much more to say on that. Brady, would you like to say stuff about steering committee?
Sure.
Will you come over here and talk to the mic? Thank you.
Am I the only one left, like on our like? I was
Yeah.
You guys. Oh no.
Don't worry,
Please,
Brady, we'll
yeah,
get it
so-
through.
The NPA is it's our way to know our neighbors. That's a great way to do that. But mostly it's like for me, it's a way to hold our city government accountable and to figure out like what they're up to. I do think that, you know, as somebody who likes to complain about the government, like I think it's better like this is a more constructive way to like, so you know actually what it takes to govern, like that's not an easy thing. And but you also have this kind of power, like that an NPA resolution is basically like our community's way of saying this is what we believe in, this is what we don't believe in. So I think, you know, in between elections, like we still need to provide checks and balances to local government, and the NPA is a great way to do that. So personally, though, like I wanted to be on the steering committee because like Ward 5 food like used to suck really bad. It used to look like Cheetos and like pizza when I first like came, and like it's not very welcoming. So I wanted to get on, and I didn't need to like just trust like really, well, it was we like it was pretty bad. Like we was not very well attended until like really like once Jason and Lena like went and started bringing people in, and now it's great. We have very well attended NPA, and
Because of the food.
I mean, I wouldn't say that, but at least the food wouldn't be like drive people away. So but yeah, please, like it's a good collection of people. We all care about Burlington, and it's a good way to give back to the community. So please consider joining up.
A question for all of you, what are some of the memorable issues that you've steered?
Elliott Park.
Well, one recently was Parks Department plan to build a bike path along the edge of Callahan Park, and in the process to cut down a fair number of trees. And the part about cutting down trees wasn't really widely known until we kind of dug it out and then brought it to an NPA meeting, and there were a whole bunch of people here. And as a result of that and a lot of constituent feedback to the Parks Department and to our city councilors, they redid the design to save several large mature trees at the park, including a really lovely big sugar maple right next to the playground. So that was a real win, and it was an example of the power of tackling important issues together and in public. I have no doubt that we would have not have changed that, steered that ship differently had we not had that meeting.
And we also recently, I think it was like a year ago, when we worked on a bylaw update to make sure that the NPA space is a welcoming space, because it didn't happen really in this ward, but in other wards, there were problems with people not being included, and we updated our bylaw. And then so the other neat thing about the NPA is that there's this called all wards NPA. So we have like an NPA of NPAs basically, and that's how we it's really grassroots. It's really, but so if we identify a problem in other wards, we want to make sure that we come up with a way to address it, and then other wards will like look at what we did, and then they could copy it or they could improve it, and then eventually, things get replicated, and we do you guys remember what the vote was?
It was like 38 in favor.
Yeah, it was like, and it was, to us, it's a no-brainer, but like, every neighborhood has their own, like,
But we also rewrote the whole
Right.
draft in
Yeah.
the meeting.
Yeah.
That's the hardest NPA I ever moderated.
Yes.
yeah, and each NPA has their own characters. Like, and if you haven't been to other NPAs, check it out. It's like this part of Burlington. That's like, it's definitely Burlington, but it's different than what we're used to. So people have different values.
I also want to add in, I think 2023 in the summer, we had this amazing gathering in Callahan Park and we heard from people about what they want to see in Ward 5. And then we sent out a survey on Front Porch Forum and we got like 100 responses and we sorted all of the data into a bunch of different kinds of projects. And a lot of those projects happened. Like one of them was a Callahan Park focused improvement team and they did a lot of great work. And then
The neighborhood doing assembly.
yes, we called it the neighborhood doing assembly. That was a Jason coined term. And one of the biggest project that came out of that was that people wanted a community center. And we had a bunch of NPAs devoted to talking about this. And we came up with a really amazing vision for what a South End community center would look like. And then we thought, this was crazy. Let's get the developers of the South End redevelopment zone to get in on this. And that was a few years ago. And we kind of came up against, all right, getting developers to collaborate with you on community projects is extremely difficult.
We
And-
actually got them on board.
Okay, wait for it. And then, we actually need to form a whole entity if we're going to make this happen. And now Jack works with housing developers and I run a nonprofit. So now I'm like, okay, maybe we could make this project happen. But like we learned all this stuff along the way from our community saying, here's what you need to go learn in order to deliver what people actually want to see. So
Pretty cool.
lots of cool stuff has emerged in the last few years.
Of this community center.
We don't have a community center yet, so we need to keep working on.
The place where that conversation ended was just that we needed a lot more hands on deck. Probably starting some kind of organization.
And probably a couple
budget.
$1 million.
Yeah, and there was not enough interest from the community to get enough people on board to do that at the time.
Yeah.
But also
This was
a way to carry that forward could be to present to the city that this is a good investment of funds. I mean, the city has funded community space in the past, so
I do want to move
there's,
on.
yeah.
And I just wanted to say one other thing, which is that we led a couple sequences of issue focused meetings over the last 2 years. There was a really good one on, I think, public safety, one on affordability, one on housing. And those were like really great, kind of like the whole meeting was dedicated to an issue. Those are some of our most well-attended meetings, and we found people to give presentations or have community discussions. And I think we kind of pushed the boundaries a little bit on the format of an NPA, not being just like someone presents, you listen, and then you go home. And I think that we had a lot of success with that. And that's something that I find was really a highlight. So should we
Invite nominations,
Yeah,
including self-nominations.
yeah, totally.
So no steering committee member is gonna carry on into another.
Great is.
three?
Oh, okay. So
If you're willing, are you planning to?
Sure, like I'll
okay, sure.
Can I just one comment?
Yeah.
I'm Dave Foss, and I haven't been on the steering committee. I try to aid the steering committee as much as I can. I will definitely be here as many meetings as possible. Transportation is an issue right now, so I don't know if I can do it right now, but in the future. But what I found is that we do come together. We have different segments all over our ward. And when other wards come, they say, we always have a good civil conversation. And whether you agree or disagree, people understand this is a good place to hold those discussions and you won't be shamed or picked on or whatever. Everybody does feel welcome. And I've been involved we had the big event down at Callahan Park where we had the street sectioned off and we had the couple events put on. Jack put on something, Jason put on something. They eventually got some of the benches put together. And that was very well attended. Freed actually got food and things as well. And then also to see the first No Kings March, a huge number of people started at Callahan Park. And the trail from Callahan Park to down lakefront was just amazing. The support that I believe this NPA we tend to invite people to come, and they do come, and they do listen. And I believe we are very strong at city council. And I've been more involved with city council because of the NPA. And I believe this is a good, strong, and it should be with all the people we still have, with these guys leading the way. I think we should follow and make it a better, even stronger steering committee. And Tiff and one more, Tiff and Bram also came quite often, and they highlighted issues. And, we have a lot of serious things happening in Burlington, in the state, and in the world right now. And I think we can maybe show the way to a civilized place. Anyways.
One small clarification, I'm sure many folks who are at the NPA participated in the No Kings rally, but that was very much an indivisible organized thing. The NPA is pretty much sticks to discussion of issues, not organization.
Nonpartisan.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. It was great that there's a lot of people that formed there in this area.
Totally.
Yeah. So does anyone have any further questions or comments, or would like to nominate somebody for the steering committee, or nominate yourself to join?
I do have a question. And are we at the end of public forum, or are we going to do a nomination and election before open forum?
Maybe let's just finish the nomination and election, and then we can open it for public forum.
Okay.
I would like to nominate my good friend Gary over here. I don't know if he wants to do it, but
Do they have to accept the nomination, or can we just?
he's a leader.
Be impressed.
No, he's a leader, and he has good ideas. I work with him at Decker, and he has amazing ideas, and he works with a lot of people very well, and he can be a Pied Piper a lot. He could blow a whistle and people would follow him and listen to him. So only if he has the time. He does a lot now, but I think it would be good.
Sure.
Oh, nice.
That was just a nomination.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good chance you'll get elected though.
Yeah, it's looking like it. Oh, yeah.
I second it.
Yeah,
Second it.
too, sure.
So I thought I would, so I'm Charlie from Ward 2. I thought I would just mention the fact that because several of the NPAs are in a similar situation with losing a lot of steering committee members, I think you're going to find that going forward, we're going to have a little more assistance from the city for NPAs that need assistance because they don't have experienced steering committee members. So there's help on the way, and so don't fail to get on a steering committee because you think you don't have the skills or the experience, because the city's going to pitch in a little more than they have in the past. So,
And speaking of which, this is Barbara, who's from the city and is our support person at CETO.
Orientation,
For new steering committee members, there will be like a training and you'll have support from the current and previous members. It's not just gonna be throwing you to the wolves.
Wow, that's super organized. We never had a training.
And we figured it out anyway, so that means good things for you.
It is also a reminder, like 1 to 2 hours work a week. It's not a month, not a week.
Yeah.
A month. It's not a big lift.
Yeah.
So.
Barbara, one question on that. When you have the training, even though I'm not necessarily going to be a steering committee member right yet. Can I still attend that training?
Yeah, we should talk about it.
Okay.
Do you have any other
I would like to nominate somebody. I'm from Ward 6,
Oh,
but I just met this woman over here who's new to Ward 5.
yeah.
And she, I think might be great.
Why not? I have a mic in my hand now. I'm here. I was directed here actually by Green Mountain Transit. There was somebody I spoke there because I made a complaint to my local transportation. So I forgot, what was your name?
I'm Dave.
Dave, I was like, yes, transportation, that's my like big like issue. But I also can relate to wanting, you know, better public spaces. A community center would be awesome. Like, I'm on the same page, but sorry, I get a little nervous speaking, but Laura, sorry, yeah, hi. But yeah, I'm very frustrated, especially about public transit. And then just, I'd love to learn how to, you know, have power in local government and learn what you guys are saying, how the city works. And I just have so many questions about like how we can utilize like our resources and like get pointed towards like sources of funding. Like, who do I need to complain to directly about public, like which issues? Like, I'm annoyed, I'll get it done, you know?
This whole that one
that's
thing
it.
you were talking about with the convention center, the community. I was definitely all for that, and a lot of people here we're all excited because we had a big movement for a while. And if you're game to help try to redirect that, I'll definitely help you with that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does anyone else want to nominate somebody or self-nominate for the steering committee for Ward 5?
Let's go. Anybody? Robin.
Currently, we have Gary and Laura and Fareed.
You already show up every meeting, so.
I have, excuse me, a lot of commitments, and I was a 37-year commitment as a special educator, and I'm breathing now.
Yeah.
Continue to do so for a short while.
Very important. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you though for.
Last chance.
And we can do rolling
Andy.
nomination.
Nominating Andy.
Right, Andy.
It's an rolling
He
nomination.
would nominate himself if he wanted to come back on the NPA, but
Not necessarily good kids. And can we do like a rolling nomination if we only feel like partial?
yeah, is it okay if there's another election in a couple of months?
I don't see why not.
Yeah, okay.
Great.
Well,
So we'll
well,
consider this a seed slate.
so I guess, yeah, electing everyone as the slate of Gary and Laura and Fareed. Lara.
I second that.
How about you?
All right,
So
just for the record, we should get last names here.
Myers, Myers.
Gary Myers.
Sorry, Lunar Show.
Great. Everyone in favor? Or is anyone opposed?
Well, just as, so this is a very official Ward 5 election, which means that you can only vote if you live in Ward 5.
Oh, that's true.
Daniel written that, we're gonna check it in the federal.
Sit on your hands.
Yeah, okay, so if you're in Ward 5, you are.
In Ward 5, raise your hand if you support this slate. That's a lot of hands. Raise your hand if you don't support this slate. Great, surprise, surprise.
Andy just raised his hand.
Oh, Andy, what's up?
He's a
Oh, you support, yeah. Yeah, you can abstain. Yes. Sweet. Sweet. Andy?
Yes. Hi, this is Andy Simon. I did not raise my hand against this.
Just a technical lag there.
Andy, we thought you raised your hand to participate.
Maybe nominate.
I think he
I
nominated.
have something to add to the public forum.
Okay, we're almost there, we're almost
Okay.
there.
And I do support the slate, and I hope that people online are also able to vote.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
great. I think we did it. I
Yes,
think we have
we
a
did.
new NPA steering committee for Ward 5. Yay!
Rest of time when told the legislators.
Maybe, should we just get a quick show of hands about who wants to participate in public forum, and maybe it's very short, and then we can shift to our legislator update?
This one.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, all right. Should we do 10 minutes for public forum and then shift gears?
Chop that.
But people speaking to the microphone, because I'm hard of hearing, and that is a reason why not to attend some place.
Yeah, we could try to speak up louder. The microphones don't amplify our voices. Unfortunately, they're for the people online, but we could try to project our voices. Yeah, so we will do.
Jeez. This seat is.
The seat is vacant.
Okay, so we'll do a quick 10 minutes of public forum, and then we're gonna get an update from Senator Thomas Chittenden about legislation happening. So public forum people, who would like to go first? Please try to keep it brief.
How many people do we have? We should.
We've got
Four, including, did Andy want to speak too?
Yeah.
Okay, is that including Andy?
I think we have 5.
I think it's 4.
Okay, would you like to speak first?
Sure.
You can come sit at the microphone.
I'll.
Yeah, thanks you for this opportunity. I'm Parsa from City of Burlington. I'm working in this building, DPW, and I'm here to use this opportunity to talk about an open house that we're doing on April 30th. So if you're aware, some of you might be, we're doing a comprehensive plan for the city. It's a collaboration between Department of Public Works, Office of City Planning, Community Engagement Development, Parks and Waterfront, and we are collaborating with CCRPC, Chittenden County Commission, and we are having an open house on April 30th on 1 Main Street. It's the Union Station. Some people might know it. That please show up. I have some flyers about the event. There's also more over there if you want to grab some more and share with your friends. It's a very good opportunity to share your thoughts, your comments, your problems about it. Could be anything, big or small. We have activities there to receive your comments, and yeah, if you have questions.
Are there any presentations, or is it really just panels and?
Well, it's more, it starts at 3:30 all the way to 8 p.m. and it's more activity oriented.
Okay,
And
there's no particular speaker.
there is a rolling presentation, and it talks about like there's a presentation that goes on and shows different things that we're doing now or plan to do, but it's more activity based. It's not like
So it's just an ongoing.
yeah, ongoing video about
So back,
that would
no
be.
presentation.
No presentation, no specific presentation. Yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
Can you just clarify when you say 1 main, it's that space that's actually by getting
It's a train station down at the main station. Yeah, and if you sorry,
Main Street Landing.
I believe no, it's the Main Street Landing building. But when you enter,
That's where the Amtrak station is.
yes, entrance, and we are actually doing it, I believe, on the 2nd floor and 1st floor. So it doesn't matter which way you get in, you'll find us, and we're gonna have banners and such.
Information on both floors?
So it's connected and you can like explore. I am not yet sure. We are working on it, but I'm pretty sure you'll figure out. I'm part of Department of Public Works and I'm a transportation engineer from so if you have transportation ideas, you'll definitely see me there.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, who'd like to go next?
Question about the new the steering committee. What's the next step? Like, are they gonna get contacted or?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so you'll hear from.
We'll reach out.
Yeah, okay.
And so we need to make sure you get emails actually as well.
Yeah.
I'm Dave Foss. I just want to announce something real quick. Coming on next Saturday, we're having what we call From Housing Justice to Civic Power. It's a Vermont Action Summit. We're going to have panels. We're going to have action workshops. It starts at 2 to 6:30. at the Unitarian Universalist Society Church at the top of Church Street. And we invite you to go there because a lot of issues are going to be brought up pertaining to housing and how we can protect it and how we can organize it to one of the biggest problems right now is how homelessness is criminalized now. You can be picked up and thrown into a concentration camp or something by being homeless. And we need to start fighting that. Thank you.
My name is Scott Lowe. I'm a member of Ward 5. I live right here on Pine Street. I'm also a representative of Ward 5 in the Community Development Block Grant Advisory Board. And I am this evening making a formal announcement that I will be running for Burlington City Mayor in the 2027 elections held on town meeting day, March of that year. I do have a clipboard with a petition for signatures that I will be passing around. I will be available as well after the NPA meeting to answer any questions. And if you like what you hear, or if you are so inclined, I invite you to sign my petition for my candidacy. Thank you.
Okay, as I always say, so again, what is your name? What do you do?
What do I do? Okay.
No, like, so you're running.
My name is Scott Lowe, and I am running for Burlington City Mayor in the 2027 mayoral elections.
Thank you.
Thanks, Scott. And yes.
I didn't raise my hand, but I did realize I know that actually.
Okay, so stand up and grab a microphone.
If you can keep it to a minute, you can use the rest of the time. That would be real efficient. 2 minutes.
Okay, so I am Jack Evans. I work at Local Motion as a complete street specialist. Local Motion is all about bikes, and if you like bikes, if you have a bike that needs to be fixed, we have a series of events happening right over there at Zero Gravity. Free bike and gear, whatever you want to define that as, repair days. You show up on April 28th, May 20th, or June 18th with a bike. You get in line. We'll take it. We'll take a look at it. We'll fix it, and we'll give it back to you. In the meantime, you get to go into Zero Gravity, have a drink, have some fries. Just enjoy your afternoon. It's going to be 4 to 8 p.m. all of those days. There's going to be a bunch of other cool organizations around. And I will also just plug what Parsa said. These open houses for Plan BTV 2050 really are kind of the next 25 years of policy, budgets, priorities for our city. I've heard already things like better public transit, South End community centers. These are all great ideas, and these are all ideas that should be spoken at this event. You can literally show up for 15 minutes. If you have a kid, they have activities for all ages. You can stop by, leave your kid in a supervised area, and walk around with the ease or peace of mind that they are being taken care of, and just literally say those 5 words. I want a community. I want whatever. I want a community center in the South End, and then leave. And then that is the lowest effort but highest impact thing you can do to make that a reality in the future. Thank you.
So what is that again?
April 30th, 3:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. Union Station, which is kind of the bottom of Main Street. Yeah, it's right there.
What was the date in May and June for the?
April 28th, May 20th, and June 18th.
And we had one more.
Time for word walk. I'm Stu Lindsay, just up on Linden and Birchcliff, and work with Walk to Shop, which is a nonprofit that encourages more people to walk more often. And we self-declared that May will be Walk to Shop. So we will do what we can to make Burlington a more walkable community. So we have a bunch of events planned. So keep an eye out for it.
Good, sweet, thank you. I think. Oh, Andy, did you have something to say?
Yes.
And you got 2 minutes.
All right. I would like to announce on behalf of Friends of the Barge Canal, which is a nonprofit volunteer-run organization that works to conserve the Pine Street Barge Canal as a green, publicly accessible, safe space, and thinks of it as the beating heart of the South End. We are having our 5th annual Green Up Day cleanup of the Barge Canal on Saturday, May 2nd, from 9 a.m. to noon. We will have work for you to do. We'll have walks around the Barge Canal, and it's rain or shine. Please bring sturdy shoes, work gloves if you have them, but we have some of those too. Wear long pants, long sleeves, and we'll have cream cheese and bagels. So that's May 2nd, Green Up Day, 9 a.m. to noon at the Pine Street Barge Canal. Meet us at 453 Pine Street, right across from dealer.com. Thank you.
Thanks, Andy. Cool. So now we're going to hear a legislative update from Senator Chittenden. Oh, that's true. Bram and Tim. You guys can give updates as well. Yes. Yeah, so you can start.
Great. Happy to start off, and then Representative Bloomley and Representative Kleppner, if you want to fill in the gaps or take any really tough questions, I'd certainly appreciate it. So, hi everybody. I'm Thomas Chittenden. I'm one of your 3 current senators representing the south end of Burlington, as well as 10 other communities. Your 2 others are Keisha Ram Hinsdale and Senator Ginny Lyons. They both want to be here tonight. They committed to there's a farewell to Phil event happening in Barrie right now for Phil Baruth, as well as Allison Clarkson, a senator from Windsor. They had committed to being there. I had to help my 13-year-old get home from track practice, so I had to come home, and I was glad to be here. I was originally asked, I think, because Representative Kleppner and Representative Bloomley were on the floor until just a few moments ago with a very big, important ed bill, that I'm also excited to hear from them on how that landed in the House, and happy to give an update on that. I think what might be more useful too is just for me to tell you about the 2 committees that I serve on, and that will give you an idea of the bills that I'm most familiar with. You certainly can ask any questions you like. It's just, if you know how many of you know how the legislature works, we usually get pretty focused with tunnel vision on the committees of jurisdiction we serve on, and so that's where I usually have the greatest depth of knowledge, but happy to answer questions on anything. I also just want to recognize I served on the South Burlington City Council for 10 years, and I always mention the NPAs in Burlington and how I wanted that in South Burlington, because we have all these neighborhoods that don't really have a unified voice, like the Chamberlain neighborhood, Orchard, then you've got the Southeast Quadrant. And so when you hear from the members of those communities, it would be so helpful to have some elected leaders that are just the point persons for that area, just so that you can elevate concerns up to the council level in a more unified voice. So I'm envious of what you all have, and if I ever go back to council, I will certainly advocate it for some more there too. So again, I hope I'm not talking too much, but I serve on 2 committees in the Senate. So my morning committee is a new one for me this year. I was on transportation for the last 2 previous terms, the prior 4 years. This is my 3rd term. This term, I asked for change. I like jumping around a committee once it's a session. It gives me more of an idea of the scope of state government. So I'm on Senate Economic Development, Housing, and General Affairs. We've passed a bill out on cannabis reforms. Happy to talk a little bit about that, as well as tobacco reforms. We addressed some of these vaping devices we're seeing too often in kids' hands. So we're looking to get our hands on that. We're now working on a bill we received from the House on alcohol. So we're covering all the vices. We're not doing gambling this year, but maybe that'll be next year. Yeah. We also do housing as well. And so we did work on some aspects of that, like the Down Payers Assistance Program, the Downtown Village Credit. So there's topics there that I could speak to. So that's my morning committee. We're also working on a ticket resale bill, as well as some data privacy bills and data brokers. So happy to answer some questions if there's an interest area there. I'm also, with my transportation background, and that's getting some news late, I heard it on VPR on the way up. The transportation bill just passed out of our Senate committee, and I already heard the House chair sort of poo-poo some of the things that came out of the Senate. But that's how things work in the legislature. I think ideas get better as they bounce between chambers and different perspectives look at them. So it's this new mileage-based usage fee that we've been looking to implement for EVs and hybrids. So happy to elaborate on that. It's just a way to start paying for our roads, because we're collecting less at the pumps over there as our cars get more efficient and people buy less gas, which is a good thing, but we still need to paint, plow, and pave our roads. And so we're looking at funding sources to fill a declining amount of revenues that we've been counting on to be able to provide safe roads. So that's a big hole we're filling. I would say, I think crisis is an overused term in the State House, but it is a word that is easy to throw around. We have major crises in our healthcare sector. I don't serve on healthcare. Happy to talk a little bit about what we're trying to do there. I have a general idea. My seatmate, Senator Ginny Lyons, who I hold in very high regard, and the three of us are running for re-election, and I usually love it when Senator Lyons is with me because she takes all the healthcare questions, but I certainly have opinions on it and happy to elaborate on things that we're looking at in that front. I was going to mention the yield bill, so my afternoon committee. So the afternoon committee is the corollary to what they have in the House, Ways and Means. We call it Senate Finance. It's really the tax committee. So Senate Finance is where how the money comes into the state, and appropriations, where my colleague Representative Bloomley serves on in the House, is how we spend the money. So that's the Appropriations Committee. So on Senate Finance, we're looking at two big bills this week. That's what I've been spending a lot of my time on the yield bill. By show of hands, how many people know what the yield bill is? Yeah, fair enough. So yeah, it took me a while to figure it out.
Figuring that was a holdover from your transportation.
No. Yield is this very complicated calculation we do to equalize property tax rates across the whole state. Very complex, but it's a very important thing because it really determines what everybody's property tax bills will be.
Can you say that again?
Yeah. So the yield is effectively a calculation, and how much money we put into the yield translates to what the average property tax increase will be across the state. So the big debate right now is how much we buy down the rate using money that isn't from property taxes, from sources that we weren't necessarily counting on, that came in above what we anticipated. So there's about $110 million that if we use all of that, everybody's property taxes will go down. You can think about $14 million is about a 1 percentage point decrease on your tax bill. So 110 million, that's a fluctuation of about 6 or 7% we can reduce overall taxes if we use it all there. So we're really weighing how much to use on that front and what other things that we can do to address the property tax crisis that that term I think is overused, but it certainly is real. It's a real pressure on a lot of houses and budgets. And then the miscellaneous tax bill, I really like what the House did. We're concurring with just about everything. We've got some small tweaks around the edges. We're also adding, very importantly, to Burlington, we're adding some conforming languages, some adjustments based on the auditor who audited the Burlington TIF in 2023, found some openness to interpretation based on how we had extended the TIF a couple of times. So we're looking to add something on the Burlington TIF that should give Burlington greater assurance that they are properly allocating education and increment consistently with what the legislature expects of them. I've been talking a lot. I did make notes, happy to expound upon any of these things. The big topic on housing is not on my committee of jurisdiction. And here too, I want to give some really big props to my colleagues in the House. If you've been following the news a lot, Act 181 passed last biennium, and there was two aspects of it that have caused a lot of consternation around Vermont, mostly in rural communities. It's less impactful on the south end of Burlington, but it has to do with the road rule and Tier 3, and just some determinations for what additional requirements, if these were to go into effect, would be imposed upon people wanting to build, develop, or do anything in rural Vermont. And I think that the House the House leadership, including the chair of the appropriate committee, as well as the speaker. I don't know where Representative Kleppner and Representative they are, but I think it was a very important moment that they are now open to revising what we did last session, addressing the concerns we've heard from many rural Vermonters. I've been talking too much, and maybe I'll stop there and turn it to Representative Bloomley or Representative Kleppner to chime in or add anything, especially about the ed bill, that I'd be happy to pontificate on as well. But they are much more knee deep in it, as that bill just left the floor with a pretty tight vote, if I understand correctly. Is that appropriate, Jason?
Yeah, that's appropriate. It was a tight vote, tighter vote than I anticipated, but I'm not really a vote counter. Or at least that's not my job. So I guess I assumed. So it was, I think the vote, Bram, do you remember, was it like
77 to 59, 78, 59, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Which,
I think Andy Simon has a question that maybe for Thomas.
Or maybe a legacy hand.
Sorry, legacy hand. Excuse me.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, I also think that the vote probably, actually, the final vote reflects more about the number of amendments that were introduced to change certain parts of the bill. And so people knowing that it would pass felt comfortable voting against the bill, and to make a statement to their communities. But if asked again to vote for a bill after it comes back from the Senate, might vote differently. I don't know. And I have no idea where the Senate is on the issue of education. But Bram and I have spent some time trying to send out communications that laid out the proposal from the redistricting task force that was active this summer and early this fall, that that really proposed a process through which the state, divided into 7 different sections, would form working groups called CISAs, and that are collaborative. Bram, what does that stand for?
Yes, Cooperative Educational Service
Oh my God.
Agencies.
I mean, how many times was that said today? And I still can't even say it. At any rate, it is a and you know, the redistricting task force was really clear after doing a ton of research on other places that had attempted to merge schools and force consolidation. They really determined that forced consolidation was unsuccessful and didn't necessarily save any money in the way that people had hoped. But voluntary mergers or cooperative agreements within geographic areas where they could kind of pool transportation resources, pool special education resources, and even English language learning resources would then enable would result in cost savings. And there's one of these areas in Vermont on the eastern side, down in the Rockingham, Bellows Falls area, that has already formed because we incentivized this years earlier. And they have demonstrated savings through doing this. And so I'll let Bram, if you want to, Bram, you can talk a little bit about kind of how this process and how it is laid out. If people are interested, it's just, it's top of mind today because we sat for 6 hours in the House today debating it.
Yeah. I would just say the problem that we are trying to solve is the fact that education is really expensive in Vermont, and driving property taxes, which are burdensome. And by some measures, educational quality has declined. And by all measures, educational opportunity is really unequal across the state. And our sort of going in hypothesis last year, the plan the governor presented had a couple of ways to try to address cost and quality and equality. And one of them was forced mergers. And the group that studied it came back and said there is no evidence, as Tiff said, there's no evidence that forced mergers either save money or increase quality. So that group suggested that instead of forcing mergers at the school district level, we would mandate these larger regional service providing districts, the cooperative educational service agreements, which, as Tiff said, have been proven to save money. So we went from something where there was no evidence it would work to something that there was a lot of evidence that it would work on cost savings. At the school district level, no evidence. At the individual school and classroom level, there is a decent amount of evidence that consolidation can save money and improve educational quality. So the bill does set minimum numbers of students per class, which is a little counterintuitive for me. I grew up in a big suburban school district outside of DC where overcrowding was the problem. And we'd have 30 or 32 kids in a classroom, and smaller was always assumed to be better. But we took testimony last year from teachers saying, I've got 7 kids in my class, and if I want to do an activity with 4 groups of 4, I can't do that. And those 7 kids have been together for the last 4 years. They haven't had any dynamic interactions with other kids from other towns and other levels. So it became apparent that there's a size below which getting smaller decreases kids' educational opportunity instead of increasing it. So there's that. The other piece was moving from the way we finance schools in Vermont, which is sort of unique in all the world. That every town in Vermont, every school district, 115 of them, all all pass whatever budget they want, and then they mail all those budgets to us in Montpelier, and we have to pay the full amount, whatever it is, whatever all those districts have decided to do. And that gets translated, as Senator Chittenden said, into the yield bill and into property taxes across the state. So what most other states do instead of that is sort of in the other direction. The state figures out how much money is the right amount to educate a student. How much do we need to allocate to educate each student, and then distributes that amount times the number of students with adjustments for students who are more costly to educate. Little kids are more costly to educate, and special needs kids are more costly to educate. English language learners, people whose education has been interrupted for whatever reason. So there are adjustments per the number of those students in each district, but it allocates that much money to the district, and then the district can sell it. And there is a great deal of data from other states that is in fact an effective way to manage costs. So the 43-page bill that we passed today that had like a 52-page amendment to it, so almost 100 pages of legislation, does those things. It pursues the foundation formula. It does not force school district mergers. It does require both regional service organizations, and it requires that school districts enter into discussions about whether or not they want to merge, but there's no requirement that they merge. If they get together and decide they don't want to, then that's the end of it. So Tiff and I both voted against the original bill last year that had forced mergers in it. We both voted for the bill today that I think is a really good bill.
All right, question. You still?
I was just curious, what has the task force found other than not merging schools is good?
Yeah, so the task force on school redistricting, it was actually, I think, a sign of a very healthy process in democracy, because the law said they had to come back to us a few months ago on December 15th with 3 maps of how to force consolidation. And after studying it, they sort of said, the law says we have to do this, but we're not going to because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't achieve any of the goals. So they said, we do not recommend forced mergers. No matter how you draw the map, forced mergers, there's no data to suggest they save money or improve quality. And, I don't know, Tiff, do you know, was it the task force that suggested the cooperative educational service agreements?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was.
Thank you. So that's that is what they said. Hey, there is evidence that this will save money. So they came back and
And they exist all over the country. I mean, we don't have, county government. So, and a lot of public school districts, there's a relationship with the county, and there are ways in which those different districts can pool resources, so they don't all have to have certain specialty educators, all of them. They can share them and share in transportation expenses and routes, and share in even some of the mental health resources that they use. So it becomes very expensive if you've got to try to maintain a certain level of services and resources for a small number of students in a given district. So now we have the third reading, which is the final reading of the bill tomorrow. I don't expect there to be any big surprises, and then it will go over to the Senate, and the Senate will have its way with it. And I think that the Senate and the House are probably on very different pages as it relates to this issue. And I'm very hopeful that we will be able to reach a compromise that at least the body can support, if not the governor.
So if I could add a couple of things to Laura's question, and then I'd be happy to speak about what I understand and where the Senate is. Two other things that I remember in the redistricting task force that I think are really good ideas and important, and I do see elements of that in what the House just passed, is using school construction aid to focus on regional high schools. And now, why is that important? School consolidation can be really scary to rural communities when they think of their elementary schools, where they go to vote, where they go to meet, where they don't have a public works department like this. And so their local elementary schools are the hub of their communities. So when you talk about school consolidation and then thinking about little 5-year-olds and 7-year-olds taking an hour bus ride, that's not right. And so nobody's advocating for that. I haven't heard anybody advocate for that. That's elementary schools, K through 5, they should be starting the landscape. And that's really in our Constitution. But the idea around if you do live in rural areas, if you want those kids to, with some exceptions that you highlighted, Representative Kleppner, there's exceptions to that, of course, but that's where the school construction aid could more strategically create new facilities that could draw a critical mass of students or number of students to give them those educational experiences. But for high schools and middle schools at that age group, I have 3 kids, 3 teenagers right now. And if you want them to have access to the same quality of level of education, you do need to start to get some economies of scale that we just don't have when the city of Montpelier has 2 high schools 3 miles apart from each other. They would just have a better high school if there was just one there, as one example. But the other thing about the Senate, this is being recorded, so I guess I can't really get away with saying don't quote me on this, but I actually really like the House bill. I like the extended 4 years. I too did not vote for Act 73. My issue with Act 73 is really with the foundation formula. There is a foundation formula I could support, but the current trajectory of this discussion would silence the community voice. It would have us no longer vote on town meeting day for spending levels and priorities in our schools. That fundamentally goes against what I see as the most important thing to a functioning democracy, which is distributing economic and political power as far from the centers of the governing bodies as possible and prudent. And so I don't support eliminating the local decision. And with other states that do foundation formulas, they do allow for spending above that amount. And that's something that I continue to advocate for. How you do that in compliance with the interpretation of our Constitution in Brigham, that's the big debate. And that's where my advocacy usually gets blunted. And that's why predecessors to us, Representative Kleppner, Representative Bloomley, and I came up with the very convoluted and complex system that we have now. It was a way to allow for local differences in prioritization while still equalizing how much it took to raise $1 off $100 of assessed value, or a cent off $100 of assessed value to fund public education, equalizing the rates across the state. But I just said a lot really quickly. I'll suffice it to say, I like what the House has done. I like your timelines. I think think it's more sensitive. I do think that the Senate position is going to have more aggressive timeframes, and I have not yet seen that final bill as it's coming out of committee. So that's what we're tackling next week in Senate Finance.
I'll just add that I expect that the Senate Appropriations Committee is going to vote out the budget, at least on a straw poll tomorrow. We'll have then an idea about what they liked about our budget and what they wanted to change. And then we will go to conference committee. The governor has indicated that he will veto the budget, perhaps in part as a means of leveraging influence over the education bill. I hope that doesn't happen because the budget went out on 11-0 vote from my committee. It had strong tripartisan support within the body when it passed out of the House. I expect that we're probably not going to be too far away from where the Senate lands. And if we don't have a budget in July, it is we go into shutdown mode. It's very, very serious consequence. So I'm hopeful that we won't be playing games with the budget, but I don't know. That has been threatened.
We have a question.
Back to Tom, and this has to do with plug-in solar collectors. I believe there's a bill up now to allow that to happen, that we can get those window units and plug them in directly.
We passed it unanimously in the Senate. I don't know where it is in the House. Is that your committee, Representative Kleppner?
That
Plug-in
is my
solar?
committee. Yes, that is my committee. And plug-in solar is a wonderful thing and is a way, particularly for renters, to have access to the benefits of putting a panel, sometimes called balcony solar, putting a panel on the balcony, plug it into the wall, and reducing electric bills for that unit. And we started out hopeful that it would be that easy, that you buy a panel and just plug it into the outlet. And part of the reason for our optimism that we could make it that easy was the fact that there are something like 2 million of these deployed in Germany, and they have not had any issues with the safety of causing fires or meltdowns in the electrical system. No one's gotten shocked from them, and so forth. Utah and Virginia have passed balcony solar laws. However, we took an awful lot of testimony about the fact that the US electrical system is different from the system in Europe. It's technically different. It's not only that they run on 220 volts and we run on 110. There are other differences that make it work better in Europe than in the US. Electrical appliances in the US generally need to be certified by the Underwriters Laboratory. You'll see it on, the little UL mark on the cords of appliances you buy. And Underwriters Laboratory has just written the standards for plug-in solar for the US. And again, we took a lot of testimony, and I was dragged to this position reluctantly because I really wanted it to be as easy as it is elsewhere. But there was enough.
My understanding is those two other states have passed it. So why can Vermont not pass it without doing extra work?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So what UL requires a couple things. The first is when you unplug a solar panel, it's sending power down the wire towards the outlet. So when you unplug it, it doesn't shut it off. It is still generating power from whatever light's hitting it. And there's a couple seconds when the blades of the plug stay charged, so you can get shocked from that. So UL is requiring that there be a unique outlet and a unique plug that removes the possibility that a consumer can get shocked by touching the blades after unplugging it. That's one. And another is, our system is designed for one-way electric flow. It goes from the power generating station, wherever that is, across the transmission lines, through a substation that gets knocked down to 110, through the distribution network to the panel in your house, past the breakers, and then through the wall to all the outlets. And as you plug things into the outlet, you draw more and more power through that circuit. And the breakers, if it gets to the load max that circuit can handle, the breaker trips. So it doesn't overheat, it doesn't burn down your house. When you plug in balcony solar to the wall, there's electricity going into that circuit that the breaker doesn't know about. So you have your blender and your microwave and whatever else you have plugged into those 3 outlets in a row. And the breaker knows about those because the power for all those is going through the breaker, but it doesn't know about the power coming in from the other side. So you can overload that circuit. And there actually has been at least one outlet in Vermont that has melted down because someone plugged one of those into it.
So Bram, let's just go back to, the Senate's already passed it. Why can't the House pass it? And if the other 2 states that are part of the US UL system have passed it, why can't we just go forward with this?
So we will pass it. It will have these additional safety requirements in it. And Utah passed their bill before the UL standard came out. I don't know whether they're going to revise their law to incorporate the UL standards or not. Virginia passed theirs after, and they included all of that. They did exempt, and there are various technical reasons, but they exempted panels that produce less than 391 watts. Again, that number, for various technical reasons, they felt that would be safe. But you know, again, you know, I think safety has to be first. You know, we have to make sure we're protecting Vermonters against electrical shock and Vermonters' houses from getting burned down. And again, I was dragged very reluctantly to this position because
we really want Vermont to be safe.
Yeah.
But you see a path for it to go forward. Is that correct, Representative Klepner?
Yes, there is a path. And, you know, it is my deep hope that the manufacturer of these panels, recognizing that requiring a dedicated circuit and a unique plug and a unique outlet, the manufacturers will realize that cuts their potential sales down immensely. And they will do the R&D necessary to fix all those problems so that you can simply buy one and plug it into the wall. That is my hope. And, you know, the Vermont regs will evolve as the tech evolves to make it as easy as possible.
So we do have samples of them already operating in Vermont, and no one's died from them. So
yes, it is true no one has died, but it is also true that at least one outlet has gotten melted down in a way that suggests danger to the people, you know, to the Department of Fire Safety and to the line workers and the interior electricians. You know, those are, you know, as I said, we have to make sure they're safe as our top priority.
Another bill relatedly that I'm really excited about that I hear is moving in the House, we passed it through the Senate, is called CPACE, or Property Assessed Clean Energy. So this is a financing tool to allow for, I love solar fields. I love solar. We need more of it. I just don't like necessarily seeing it in farm fields all the way down Route 7, and I'd like to see it cover our parking lots more. And so CPACE is a financing tool that would actually make the numbers work. So if you're a commercial developer and you don't necessarily have long-term interest in keeping a parcel like the Kmart Shopping Plaza on Shelburne Road in your portfolio, CPACE is a way to take debt out to build the cantilever structure so you can put solar panels over your parking lot and have whoever owns that property over the life of the solar panels pay it off. So you wouldn't have to kill it or settle that loan at time of sale. So the debt carries with the property. Many other states do it, and it's often used for solar panel covered parking lots, which I'd like to see more of in Vermont.
And for example, in North Hero, the community solar that's Velco owns, or Electric Co-op owns, that does pass to the next buyer if you sell your property or your investment in there. So that is functioning.
They have it right now in Vermont for residential. This would be expanding it to commercial properties, if I'm not mistaken. So, okay, love to talk more.
Another question?
Yeah, I had a question.
Microphone.
Thought they worked from a little bit of distance away. Yeah. I had a question for Senator Chittenden, and you mentioned that you are on the committee that's looking at cannabis regulation. And I'm just curious kind of what you've heard about how the legalization is going, how it's affecting Vermonters, the economy, and what kind of changes people are looking for.
Wow. Okay, sorry, just big thunders, all the rain's coming down. So we did get reports on that. My impressions, and I'd love to hear others, is that the market is maturing and there is a lot of anticipation that actions at the federal level, moving it from Schedule A to Schedule C, is that the right word terminology, will further normalize a lot of the aspects. I think what your question might be also alluding to is, are we seeing compounding health effects? And so I have seen concerning data about, I don't have a strong opinion for or against the legalization of marijuana. I wasn't there when it was legalized. I am against legalized commercialized gummies. I'm not trying to stop them from being sold, but it just never settled with me that you can buy candy products at the store that kids might overconsume and it could cause all sorts of problems. You can't buy rum cake that'll get you drunk, but you can make rum cake. You buy rum, make some cake. That's fine to be able to make it, but I never had a concern with that. We did see some concerning numbers from health advocates that gummies with THC are getting into the hands of kids at an increased rate because of the availability of them. So that causes me concern. To that, I'm advocating, it didn't happen in this bill. Maybe the House is going to do it. I'm hopeful. Maybe House individual wrapping, so requiring each gummy to be packaged in a way. And also, you guys remember Mr. Yuck stickers? Am I that old? I would like every pot store to have free Mr. Yuck stickers. So if you got kids in the house, get some Mr. Yuck stickers, put them on your pot gummies, and maybe the kids. Sorry. So I don't know if that answers your question.
I just was curious. I mean, I just didn't know, there's a lot of dispensaries and I wasn't sure what was going on, what the state, like whether people were expressing concerns.
No, I would say generally it's just accepting now, so it's much more normalized. And I'm all for removing the stigma of pot consumption. I think it has a long history of being targeted at marginalized communities in inappropriate ways. I think people should have a right to do the drugs that they so desire. But I just think we have some responsibility to recognize the macro social impacts of the drug use in our society.
So this is, I think, both a House and a Senate question. I read a couple of weeks ago about an effort to attach an amendment to a House taxation bill that would have raised taxes on high income earners, $500,000 and $1 million, I think, in order to recoup a portion of the giant tax break that the Trump administration gave them. And that I think resulted in a separate piece of legislation because it was problematic to have it attached as an amendment. And I'm curious what the status of that is in the House and also companion in the Senate with the goal of recouping those taxes that higher income folks would have been paying already and just having them come to Vermont.
Sure. I can start us off just in terms of where things are in the House. Yeah, I mean, the amendment actually was a text of a bill that several of us had sponsored, and was sitting on the wall in Ways and Means. I couldn't support it because it really needed a hearing. For it to have any success, it had to have an airing, and they needed to take testimony because there are a lot of opinions about this. And so the compromise that was made, those amendments were taken off the floor so that the Ways and Means bill that Tom talked about earlier, the miscellaneous tax bill, could pass on its own and go over to the Senate. And then the Ways and Means Committee agreed to take up a new committee bill, which is taking shape right now. They've only had 2 days of testimony right now, thus far. And its final form is unknown to me. I've been working with a group of people to help shape it. And I think it would come out of committee sometime next week. The health committee is involved because one of the prevailing ideas is to reinstate the tax credits that people lost that help them pay for health insurance. The rate at which folks at the top 1% would be taxed is still up in the air. As is kind of what that money would be targeted to. It's really important for us to target that money to needs that we see that there is no way we will have the money to address over the next several years. This is going to be a hotly debated measure. I clearly believe in it and have stated so in many forums. I think I've probably received more mail about this in support of this than any other issue that this whole year, maybe ever in my 6 years.
Tiff, is there any discussion about the possibility of using some portion of that money to reduce tax rates for low and middle income taxpayers?
Well, I know
that seems like you just said a minute ago, pressing needs that we can't fund otherwise, and that would seem to be pretty high on the list.
It might well be. I mean, I can only tell you what we've been talking about on the House side. I think that Senator Chittenden in the Finance Committee he can say what has been bubbling over there.
Happily. So absolutely. This is something that we've taken up and we've taken testimony on, and happy to speak to it. It is easy to say, and I do support tax the rich. Okay. Now, what's important to recognize is that Vermont already has a pretty progressive tax structure. We should be proud of it in many ways. Massachusetts recently passed the 9% millionaires tax. So they had to do a constitutional amendment, but now they have for $1 million of income or more, they're taxing at 9%. And what I like to remind people is that Vermont already has a Massachusetts-like tax the millionaires tax rate. We just started at $305,000. Our highest tax rate is 8.75%, and it kicks in at $305,000 for a married couple, and I think a single is less than that. So our tax rate, if you look at how it works out, is already quite progressive across the income spectrum compared to other states. So what's contemplated in the House, I've read Vermont Digger articles. Happy to pontificate on what they're hearing. I will say they're already wrestling or realizing some of the same things we did in Senate Finance. And I don't know how much time we have. I know we're coming up on time. I did pass around my petitions. I take no offense if you don't sign it. Those are for me, Keisha, and Ginny. It's just to get us on the ballot again if you're willing to put your name down. It doesn't say that you'll vote for us. It doesn't even say that you'll endorse us. It just says that we're real people in your district. What I would say is there are about 1,000, I think it was the official 1,074 people that filed more than $1 million of income. Yeah, more than $1 million of income on average or last year. And then on average, about 1,000 Vermonters are making about $1 million a year. Now realize they're already paying 8.75% on everything above $305,000. So we're already getting them there. Of those 1,000 or so filers, it's really important. This is an important nuance to this discussion. About half of them, 40% of them are only millionaires for a year or two because they're cashing out of their business. So if they have a small business that they've been growing, I'll give you an example. My uncle Eric Chittenden started and founded the Cold Hollow Cider Mill in Waterbury. You guys been there? So he built that business over 30, 40 years, and he put a lot of love, sweat, and tears into it, didn't take a salary. And then when he was getting old enough that he wanted to bear the fruit of his labor, he sold the business. I think he got $2 or $3 million for it. And that was a big cash flow out. So to So we already in our tax code recognize capital gains as a set with non-stock capital gains, land and business capital gains. We have special exceptions for them. I personally don't want to tax those that are cashing out for retirement when they have those types of circumstances. I still support taxing stock and stock capital gains, publicly traded stock. It's different with small business stock. But I have been advocating for a carve out for capital gains when it comes to selling land and business interests that are located in Vermont. So that's where that cuts that amount down more. Once you start slicing and dicing and realizing the give and takes, you maybe will raise $70 million, but there is a real tax flight. And now you can debate that. And this is a big point of controversy. But those that with these resources and those with capital gains are the most mobile. And also, if we tax capital gains, it is relatively easy to position your lifestyle to not be a Vermont resident when you exit your position on those types of interests. So we have to be cognizant of the reality of things. I'm giving you way much more details than you want. My point is there's no easy answer. And all of this is in the backdrop of the governor will not sign any of these bills. So if we want to stand on our moral grounds as Democrats, pass this bill, have it vetoed and double back and do something else, that's an option. I'm fine with having a separate bill, separate from the budget, separate from the yield bill, where we can assert our values and wanting to assess a tax rate on those with the most, and then having that bear itself out and then see where we go from there.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
One more question.
Yeah, we'll take one more question and then we'll wrap up.
Do you know how many other states? Yeah, do you know how many other states have successfully passed such a bill to tax people who make a lot of money at a higher rate? And I think that it has to be probably has to be better done at the national level because of what we know. So that's part of the.
I couldn't agree with you more. This really needs to be at the national level. And that's why we need to get Democrats elected across this. Sorry, I know you guys aren't political here, but it's really important this fall, in my humble opinion, that we take back a seat of power in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, but anyway, how many?
So other states are looking at it in light of the big beautiful bill that passed, or the big ugly bill, however you want to call it, HR1, which changed the tax code. I will say the miscellaneous tax bill that came over from the House that I really like, and we're moving along, will raise additional revenues from multinational organizations, another 16 to 17 million. And we're using that to fill the transportation hole and simultaneously fill some of the education fund. So that is a good bill. Thank you, House reps. You all did all the work on the details. And now the Senate can just bless it, so to speak. That doesn't sound right. The Senate can hopefully make it a little bit better without frustrating the House colleagues.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
To answer the question, I believe there are 5 or 6 other states that have passed Massachusetts-style millionaire taxes on upper tax brackets. California, Connecticut, maybe Washington, D.C. There's a small handful, 5 or 6.
Yep. We're looking at it right now too, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Great. Yeah, so we're at time. I think we're going to wrap up the meeting here. Thank you, everyone.
It's done pouring outside for the moment.
Is there the update on the?
Oh, no, there's no, Teresa couldn't make it for the overdose prevention center, so that's not happening on this meeting. Yeah, come next month. Next Ward 5 meeting is Thursday, May 21st, and Ward 6 was Thursday, May 7th. Thank you so much, Gary and Laura, for stepping up as the steering committee members.
We're so happy.
Departing steering committee members.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you for your service.